Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for being with us today. This, as a part of the initiative by the EEMA Artists Committee, is our very first event. We have our tenure from 23 to 25, and we promise and assure you that we will together bring about the changes that are required. We will build a stronger community. That is EEMA. EEMA started in 2008 with a huge vision and a mission, and it has taken that forward beautifully over the years with the different presidents that we have had who have been artists themselves, who have been industry leaders, who are event managers, who are artist managers. What does that mean? That means that they are seeing EEMA from every aspect. So, why is this required? Why is today's session required? Why should we even have this doubt in our mind saying, why EEMA? What does EEMA stand for? Event and Entertainment Managers Association. Entertainment is a very significant part of EEMA, isn't it? So, what does that mean? EEMA belongs to us, it's ours. So, here we go. Before we lead into the panel, I do want to share a few things and introduce the EEMA Artists Committee for 2023-25. May I invite on stage with me Gitika Ganju. Gitika Ganjudhar is not a new name. She is, other than being an MC, she's an amazing person who has stood for the artists in every right. There's Shashi Bokadia and there's Tarsim Mittal. Tarsim, unfortunately, is not able to join with us today. However, we have Gitika and Shashi with us.
Hello, Nani. Hello, everybody. Namaste.
Gitika, one word from the EEMA Artist Committee side.
All the words you've said, Nani. I don't think I want to add anything to that as of now. I'd like to straight away rush into what we are here for and not take up any time.
Sure. So today's session particularly is extremely interactive. The idea is that we want you all, who are the stakeholders here, to talk about your pain points, share your concerns, get your questions answered, because that is the purpose of today's meeting. But we would request that first 35, 40 minutes, hear everybody, hear what they have done and the vision behind what they have done. And post that, there is a chat and a Q&A section. Please use it freely. Put in your questions there, put in your points there, because today's session is purely for the artists, for all talent. And we will try and answer all the questions. For those questions that are not answered, we assure you we will get you the answers from the respective stakeholders and email them to you. So Gitika, we ready to start?
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe invite on stage. So EEMA started in 2008, as everybody knows, and of course, the first president was Michael Menezes. He's not there with us anymore, unfortunately. But our second president was Brian Tellis. Brian was the EEMA president from 2010 to 2014. So please welcome on stage Brian Tellis. Saurav, can we have Brian on stage with us, please?
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for this opportunity to kind of interact with the community and specifically with artists and talent. I think I wear two hats, if not more. And I'd like to believe that the more important hat is one of being an artist. And so I'm delighted to be here for more reasons than just being a past president.
Thank you so much, Brian. And those words really mean a lot to us, especially being part of EEMA Artists Committee. And also, thank you for your time on a Saturday morning. We're taking 1.5 hours of everybody's time. But before we start, so Gitika, should we shoot our first question to Brian, or would we like to bring in all our presidents on stage first? How would you like to?
Let's get all the presidents in onto this grid, and then we'll start.
All right. So
and
after.
Also, Nani, once the presidents are all on, if you can do a two-line acknowledgement of everybody who's joined us as attendees, and then we'll start.
Absolutely, we'll do that. So, after Brian Tellis, the next president was Sabas Joseph. Sabas, unfortunately, in person is not able to join us, but he sent a video message, which we will play later when it's Sabas's turn. And Sabas was the president from 2014 to 2018. Thereafter, we had Sonjoy Roy. Sonjoy was the president from 2018 to 2020. Sonjoy will be joining us a little later and we'll get him up on stage. Thereafter, was the president Roshan Abbas, 2010 to 2020, sorry, 2020 to 2022. Saurav, can we have Roshan with us on stage, please?
Hi everyone, it's lovely to see all of you here. We were the pandemic president team, which was quite a task by itself. I think just keeping everybody motivated, etc. But I must say that that was one time that artists actually did a lot to support the industry. I remember all the initiatives where artists were performing, giving us reason to believe, making us feel that there was so much more that could be achieved. And I think it was a time when we all were looking to artists and their art for support. So thank you so much for all you did. Obviously, all of us tried to do a lot of things during our tenures as president, and we're here to actually answer some of your questions, tell you why it is important to be a part of EEMA. I think one thing that I want to leave you all with is just one simple thought that this is a place where the cellular the industry is found. So, if nothing else, it is just a great place to learn, interact, and build your relationships. One speaker who had come once to our platform, Mr. Raj Nayak, had said a beautiful line which I never forget. He said, "Sambandh ya sabbandh." And it is very, very important building that relationship. There are so many of you as artists I can see already who are present who I have built a relationship with, got to know better over all these years purely by the interaction. In that interaction, you're very often either able to put across what you're doing or what you're facing as a challenge or what you require help with. EEMA has done mentorship programs. We've done so many of these things, but they've all been focused on just trying to do whatever we can for various segments of the industry. As Nani said, entertainment is a very important part. And even if it was just called the event association, we know that entertainment is such an important part. I mean, you cannot have a show without an MC. You normally will have either a celebrity or a talent. And today, there are so many segments, from a motivational speaker to somebody who's coming in performing, to a music act, to specialty acts, whether it is social, whether it's events, whether it's corporate, whether it's sports, I mean, you name it. So I really feel that as the segments are increasing, as the size of our business is increasing, the opportunities for artists are a lot. Happy to answer. So thank you, Nani, thank you, Gitika, Shashi, Parthim, everyone in the committee for doing what you are. And I think I can say this on behalf of Brian and myself that we having been artists as well and continuing to do that, are always in whatever capacity you have.
Thank you so much, Roshan. I think that was very well said, really. And this is why we wanted you all to speak from your heart, because this is the artist speaking, and both of you have been associated with EEMA like ever since. So it's a different perspective altogether. So, and then we would like now to invite on stage our current president EEMA from 2022. That's Samit Garg. Saurav, can we have Samit with us, please?
Good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for finding time and making yourself available today. और उस सबसे भी ज़्यादा बड़ा शुक्रिया हमारे सब mentors, हमारे peers, Brian, Sabas, for your message. Enjoy joining us shortly. Today is important, and thank you so much for my friends in the Artists Committee, all four of you, Nani, Gitika, Shashi, and Raj Singh, for having taken up this responsibility on behalf of the association. It's actually a very, very thankless job. और ये सबको पता है, जो लोग ये जिम्मेदारियां निभाते हैं या जो किसी तरीके से थोड़ी थोड़ी निभाने की कोशिश करते हैं, सवालों के जवाब बहुत सारे देते हैं. And it is not that there is any problem in answering any question, but unfortunately, at times you realize that the forthcomingness in terms of approach and attitude that you need from colleagues and fellow members tends to kind of take a backseat. And amongst the various things today that we are all collectively going to be talking of, there is one point that I also want to bring to the table, and we can elaborate upon that later. आप सब लोगों का एक बहुत important योगदान है हमारी इंडस्ट्री में. As Nani said, entertainment is an integral part of our name. But every event that we do, uses your expertise, uses your services. You become the voice of every event that we take on stage. You also at times end up becoming the face of every event that we take on stage. So you must understand that there is a very, very important role and responsibility that you're actually walking along with. उसी जिम्मेदारी को, उसी रोल को हम थोड़े से और बड़ी तरीके से देखना चाहते हैं, बिकॉज हम ईमा को बड़ा करना चाहते हैं. The objectives, the definitions that we're today trying to drive across borders with the various state and central government offices will require a lot of effort that will have to be put in from all of you, because you speak better than many of us do, and you carry better personalities than many of us do. And I think it is time that everybody understands that and starts to walk that line collectively. With that, I give it back to Nani and Gitika to please steer the morning afternoon forward.
Thank you so much, Samit, for this one. And seriously, while I say that the EEMA Artists Committee was started by Roshan during his tenure, because that was a period I think all the artists needed that reassurance and that bonding because of COVID, and the event managers needed it, the artists needed it. There's a very bad echo in my voice. If we can just sort that out, please. Thank you. So, that was a period when all of us needed that hand holding, that needed that care, needed that love, which EMA gave. We had a care section which was purely for the artists and the event managers. Then Roshan started this thing called the EMA Artists Committee, which was purely virtual. There was no choice. And in fact, I think a lot of things happened back in that time, which are actually coming out today. And when you came up and when I spoke to you last, your most powerful words are what inspired today's session. That why should we have this doubt in our minds? EMA is ours. So if you are a part of a community, if you're part of an industry, why should there be even this doubt on what am I getting from my industry? You give to get and you get to give. You have to grow your industry. It's in your hands. So how are you going to take this forward? So here's my first question to Brian. Brian,
I'm
why
going to jump in, Nani, with just one thing, which is the fact that the Artists Committee existed before as well. It's not something that I specifically started. At our point in time, we did attempt to do some more things in terms of Gitika had arranged a tete-a-tete with me as an artist.
Right.
And EEMA Cares, of course, was something that worked significantly during that period of time just to support the thing. And honestly, I think the contribution of the artist was a lot more. So I'm just to clarify the fact that it was there from before.
No, that's very important. And honestly, please, everybody keep coming in, because the format today is not formal at all.
Yes.
Format is interactive. All valuable points need to come out so that we build a stronger community. Once we sign off from here today, we are a much larger and a stronger community. We are a fist and not a single finger. That's how we want to leave today. So,
Totally right.
Yeah, sorry.
It's not a formal platform, this one today. It's just intended to be a very productive engagement session. And in fact, Harmony, as Roshan was said, the document written for artists was written under Sanjay. He was the one who actually gave us that opportunity and the space to get together and write that. And he was the one who wrote on Imagine platform. And thereon, the journey has carried on. Thank you, Nani.
And we have bulleted the harmony, so that you'll all be happy to hear. Gitika has actually applied a lot of herself into that. We bulleted the harmony, which we will soon be releasing out. The idea of harmony, as suggested, they are just solutions to the various issues and pain points that we have seen and come across. And like Tarsim very rightly said, what might be a pain point for Nani, Gitika, Brian, Roshan, and Samit might not be the common pain point for others. There may be some more pain points. Let's figure those out. So we did send out a few emails. We did get some more pain points, which of course are listed with us. So that's not something we're going to bring out today, because they are personal and individual as well. But today it's for the larger community. So Brian, as you were I would say the second president after Michael, you took over. So give us the vision of artist specific, because today's session is purely artist specific. The vision of EEMA, artist specific, when we have entertainment is such a big word, part of the main word, core name of the organization. So what was the vision towards the artists, and what was your take on it?
One is the overarching vision, because the artist vision falls within the overarching. Sorry, I just want to say that the vision for EEMA was to actually create a community And there was no division in our minds about agency versus production agencies versus talent agencies versus actual artists and actual musicians. There were no discriminatory lines. Okay. When we started it, we wished to be an association that would be taken seriously, firstly from the inside, and as a consequence, taken seriously from the outside. And I'm going to give you analogies. When we started, people wanted to know, what is this association? Who are event management agencies? If we want to get events done, we have an admin department in our corporate office that does our events. What are y'all going to bring to the table? That's how archaic the thinking was. Then the second phase was we went through advertising agencies to corporates. Today, we have a direct relationship with corporates. The important thing is for us to actually treat the community as one. Whether I'm someone who owns or runs an agency, whether I'm someone who's an artist, and like I said earlier, I treat myself most importantly as a creative person, as an artist. Whether I choose to do it entrepreneurially with an organization, or whether I choose to do it in an entrepreneurial manner as an anchor or as a singer or as an actor or whatever. I believe I am an integral part of EEMA, the movement. I'm going to move association aside and EEMA, the movement. We always wanted to tell the world around us that we are an integral part of people's lives, be it personally, experientially, and even financially. I want to tell all our people who have registered as talent that you are as important a person in this association / organization as any one of us are. Disregard. You need to have a voice. And I speak now very passionately as an artist. You need to have a voice. You need to have a say. You need to have pride of place. Very importantly, you need to match up to your expectations. Sometimes we just tend to look at what we can get and not so much at how we can give. And that really constitutes good relationships. So the vision, to answer your question, Nani, was to form a community 360. Very often we tend to segregate it. We separate agencies, the various kinds of agencies, talent, the various kinds of talent. All of us sometimes have blurred lines. So the vision was and continues to be, is to create a community that will seamlessly work for the betterment of the entire entertainment industry, and in the process be beneficial to each one of us individually, irrespective of what we contribute to this industry we call EEMA. Broadly speaking, I can get into micro specifics, but I don't believe this is the forum for it. I want to reiterate to all my friends and actually colleagues as artists that you need to be there. You need to be as strong in the giving as you are in the listening and the taking.
That's brilliant. And that's really the message that we wanted to hear, because that gives us even more strength and reassurance. Although I really don't know why we're looking for reassurance here, but seriously, I think that kind of reinstates that. And thank you, Brian, for this one. And after you was Sabas. So we have exactly the same question which was shot at him, and he sent us a video message on this. So, Saurav, can we have Sabas's video message, please?
EEMA has always been the voice of the industry. EEMA represents our collective voice before government, before clients, before colleagues across the country and across the world. Most importantly, it is a platform that has defined itself and functioned as the apex body of the industry. It's a platform. When you say it is the collective voice of the industry, it must represent different voices from across the industry. The voice of event managers, the voice of small event managers and big event managers, artists, artist managers, associates across the technical and production fraternity, it must represent every quarter of our industry. So, in 2015, when we redesigned the membership policy for EEMA, we made it more inclusive than ever before. It became more inclusive and at the same time differentiated itself to be able to include artists, artist managers, to be part of decision making, part of representation. What was found prior to that was that artists almost functioned against the interests of event managers. And artists believed that event managers functioned against their interests. Having all on the same platform got us all into one room to be able to discuss, to chat, to converse, to identify problems and find solutions. And that, for me, is the biggest achievement of EEMA. The Star Membership Program was designed to be able to get artists on our side and event managers on their side, so we become one force. At the end of the day, event managers create events, represent client interests, represent the interests of artists to clients. Whilst event managers do all the work, the hard work behind the scenes, it is the artists who go up on stage. The artists, more than just being artists, are our ambassadors. They represent us on that larger stage of the event. What they do ensures whether we succeed or whether we fail. What we do helps them to succeed. If we don't work as one team, both of us will always fail. It is with this voice and this thought that I'd appeal to artists to work together with event managers. And I'd especially appeal to artist managers and artist management companies to not just be middlemen, not just be the hurdle between the two of us. They must be the bridge, they must be the collaboration, and they must be the unifying factor that bring all of us together to work together. It is very important for artists to become part of the leadership and the voice of EEMA. Together, we'll be heard louder and larger than ever. Together, we will be able to create a larger impact. More power to each of us, more power to EEMA, and more power to our event industry. Thank you. Cool.
So we have another perspective, and the perspective is almost similar because the feelings are the same, the sentiments are the same, and the vision is the same. So taking from Sabas, I now move on to, Sanjoy is not here with us right now, but I move on to Roshan. Roshan, I will shoot a similar question towards you. Why? Because you also are an artist. And you were the president of EEMA from 20 to 22, which was like the toughest time, really. So, from the artist perspective, what was the vision? What was your feeling? What was your sentiment?
Nani, see, at that point in time, I think the first battle that we had to fight was to just keep the industry going. Because Brian and I were very often, along with Sabas and Joy, etc., used to often be on a lot of panels where the question was that if this screen is so viable, why do we need live events? Right? And there was this big question that started. Our initial focus was on trying to help people upgrade their skills, because the reason why we did D-Day at that point in time was to show the power of digital, because that too was becoming a relevant medium. I think that is one of the first things that we did. We often created opportunities for people to come together in various forums. And I keep saying this, that when we have our awards or when we have people being awarded even through the regional awards that we were doing. So if you see in the Spotlight Awards, there was a specific category that focused on artists. And what that really did is throw a spotlight on talent beyond the 5-7 names that we know. The important thing for us to understand is that somebody might have stature, they might have a presence because of being a personality who is on mass media. So therefore, they might be on television, film, right? They might be visible in a reality show or something, which builds a certain amount of interest from the brand side. But then there are artists who have a relevance to their region, artists who are specialists in what they do. And I really feel that Spotlight, though it was started from the very beginning, was something that when it got executed during our tenure, and it was actually done by the previous team, they were able to put a larger spotlight on artists, which I think was important. When the Artists Committee was formed at that point in time, I think the other really good thing that happened was that the entire team, which you all were a part of and you all have seen, tried once again to take this harmony document. And I really feel that, and I would put this to Samit, that harmony needs to be tabled and just, it needs to have a common minimum program, because it actually owns both sides of the picture, what the artist wants as well as what the event manager wants. I was reading the chat and many people were like, oh, but artists need to understand that the event manager is also an artist. I mean, this angst that we have often will exist. Who is critical? Who is important? As I think Swati said in the chat, she said that we are not just a finger, we are all together. We become like this fist. We become this one power which we come together. It's very important to understand that we are all together. The other thing that we were able to do was that a lot of the interaction that happened where you got to meet new artists, see new artists. And if you see, all our events at EEMA are a great place to showcase talent. Jayesh from Glow Show, Nitin, Tarsem, Kinjal, so many people I could name have benefited immensely because they have been able to bring artists. Yes, we lean on them. Yes, when we do a big convention, we want the big names. We will be saying, please bring so-and-so, please bring so-and-so. But people have benefited. When Sanjay Dutt came and spoke at an earlier convention during Sabas's time, suddenly there was a demand that, oh, he is available to do these kind of conversations, right? We are a great place for artists to showcase what they do. We are a great place to mediate. During my tenure, Samit will remember, we had a conversation where there was a issue between an artist management firm and an event manager, where some lack of delivery happened down south, and it was becoming a big issue. Unfortunately, social media throws these issues and blows them out of proportion, and it becomes a 24-hour cycle, and we are a small industry, everybody starts talking. The thing that happened was that we were able to resolve it. We were able to bring people together and resolve it. So again, I feel that while it takes a lot of time, and Samit rightly said, it becomes very often a thankless job. You're busy doing a big event, but you need to find time to do this as well. But I do believe that there can be time created for mediation, for exposure, for giving new people an opportunity. And again, without having spoken to Samit, but I value him enough as both as a friend and a colleague, as a brother, is that I can say that maybe there is a need to, just like we do the presenter dialogue or the presenter meets that have happened successfully in so many parts already with this tenure of Samit and the entire team, maybe it is time also to do a talent showcase. If we can just do an entertainment showcase where all our members come together, and it is only an evening where 20-25 members, I'm sorry, I'm not just telling you what we did, but what I believe can be the extension of the vision. I think it is a great place because, you cannot keep testing a new MC every time because we don't have space. We cannot hear a new act every time. But if there was a talent showcase opportunity for everyone, which is a talent night, portfolio nights are a very important part of the industry interaction and advertising. Young creators come, share their portfolios, agency creative directors come and meet them. we need to bring some of these systems. The last thing that happened during our tenure, and I think it was something which really did work, was the fact that when there was an attempt to put down a structure of, there were 2-3 manuals that we created under which we were able to really put out how things need to be run, how safety protocols and health protocols, etc., need to be run. And these actually also included what are the kind of protocols that need to be done backstage, etc. I think there is a need again for a common minimum program, because I've heard so many artists talk about how many changes they're expected to bring. There is no place to change. There is no, I mean, these small things. And these small things, when the stature of an artist is much higher, is taken for granted. But when it is a person who's either being introduced into the industry, there is this fear of exploitation. Again, this is a lovely forum. It's a place where we can discuss these things and carry on everything that was done by each of the presidents over a period of time. What Sabas just said, what Brian has said, what Sanjoy will tell you about, and what Samit and the team are brilliantly carrying forward.
Thank you, Roshan, because what was very nice was that you brought in the harmony document beautifully, and I'm going to leave that later after Samit for Gitika to put in her points for the harmony document, because those are suggestions basically and solutions to certain issues, and I'm sure, you know, for the larger artist community, it is going to be beneficial, because at the end of the day, unless until we are like this, it's not going to work. And you know, I mean, we can't keep asking and not giving. It won't happen. The string will break at some stage. So may I also welcome on stage Shashi Bokaria. He is one of the core members of the EEMA Artists Committee. Thank you so much, Shashi, for being here with us. And of course, I think you must have caught the conversations that were going on from backstage. So now we're moving on. Roshan is going to join later, but Sonjoy will join later. So we move on to Samit now. Samit became the president of EEMA last year, 2022. And from there on till now, and then thereafter, Samit, we want to hear from you the current, what is the vision for the artists, specifically for the artists?
Hi, and I'm not sure whether whatever I'm going to be saying now is going to be really appreciated by a lot of you friends sitting on the other side, but nevertheless, with folded hands and apologies much in advance. I had shared this in confidence with my predecessors, people who I really look up to, and most of them are here today with me. See, the narrative and the whole objective of the purpose, I think, has gotten kind of disillusioned and lost in the last 8 to 10 years. मैं सबसे ये निवेदन करता हूं कि पहले हम अपने ऑब्जेक्टिव को और अपने पर्पस को समझने की चेष्टा करें. What is an association? An association is not a club. Sorry to say, but an association is not a club. An association is, you know, a congregation of like-minded people who believe in the progressive future of their industry. Association का काम है, you know, competent, capable लोगों का एक साथ इकट्ठा होना और objectives align कर उनके ऊपर काम करना. And those objectives are predominantly, you know, a series of things that are listed down that benefit and work for the larger progression of the industry at large. इसमें सारे verticals आ जाते हैं. इसमें इवेंट मैनेजर भी आ जाता है, इसमें आर्टिस्ट भी आ जाता है, इसमें पॉलिसी भी आ जाती है, इसमें सप्लाई चेन भी आ जाती है, इसमें इंटरनेशनल अलायंसेस भी आ जाती हैं, सभी कुछ आ जाता है. So an association, and that's the reason why EEMA was also formed. If we kind of literally go back to the history in 2008, there was a problem with music licensing, which has actually got a few like-minded people to come together, and they said that, okay, let's create an association, and which is typically what every industry association does. You look at the plastic industry, they have an association that works for the industry. You look at the automobile industry, they have an association that works for the larger benefit and progress of the industry. तो EEMA का भी जो प्राइमरी ऑब्जेक्टिव है एज एन एसोसिएशन, वो ये है कि हम अपने सारे लोगों की समस्याओं को अंदर तो पहले सॉल्व करेंगे, बट जो बाहर सॉल्व होने वाली चीजें हैं उनको पहले सही से आइडेंटिफाई करें एंड लेट्स go forward, speak to the concerned authorities, whether it is government, whether it is other autonomous bodies, etc., to make sure that those problems are first heard. जब तक सुनवाई नहीं होगी तब तक उसकी सॉल्विंग तो मतलब कैसे हो सकती है? सो अभी तो प्रॉब्लम ये है दैट हम कह भी रहे हैं, बार बार इंडस्ट्री बोल रहे 4 साल से लगे, शायद उसके पहले से भी बहुत सारे लोगों ने बहुत मेहनत की है, बट the tick mark of the events being an industry really hasn't been provided by the different ministerial offices concerned. So those are things that we are working on, and we've been, I think, a little careful in sharing with all of our friends and colleagues of the various developments that have been happening since the time the new committee and the NEC has come into play via the EEMA newsletter. So we try and keep you informed of whatever we are trying to do. And उसमें अगर आप बारीकियां देखोगे तो बहुत सारी चीजें हैं जो हम मेंबर्स के हित में भी कर रहे हैं. There are various things which, and I think I've said this a few times, Roshan's taught me one beautiful word which is called value. And he always used to say when we were working as a team in his tenure that it is important to attribute some value proposition for our members as well. Now that value proposition distinctly for some of us is something which is measurable. For some of us it may also comprise of things that are intangible, but measurable चीजें भी हमने करने की चेष्टा की है. The Make My Trip tie-up that has happened, the Marriott tie-up which was announced, which actually carries a very impressive list of benefits and privileges that will accrue to all the EEMA members in due course of time. The program will become effective 1st of April 2023. There are certain other things and collaborations with other hotel properties that are also in the offing. There is, I think it's relevant for me to mention here, but we've also been able to reach a stage where now we are having a across the table dialogue with all the proprietors and stakeholders of the music licensing industry, something that's never actually happened. We've got all of them on one table and we've had 2 rounds of meetings. There are certain things that are going to come out of that as well. So, when you talk of direct benefits that accrue to artists, that accrue to members or MCs or anybody who's playing any छोटा और बड़ा किरदार in the membership foray of EEMA, सबके लिए कुछ ना कुछ है. बट मेरी आप लोगों से ये इल्तिजा है और मेरा ये निवेदन है कि ईमा को आपसे क्या मिल रहा है. And that is something that I really want all of you also to please think about, because we understand some people may have been able to derive some direct benefits and advantages by working for EEMA events, and I know that a lot of my friends and colleagues here also have grievances कि यार हमने 3 इवेंट ईमा के किए, हमने 4 इवेंट ईमा के किए, हमको उससे कोई फायदा नहीं हुआ. कभी कभी सब चीजें डायरेक्टली नहीं आके सामने झोली में गिरती हैं, बट थिंग्स डू हैपन at times. They take a little longer time, but things will happen. All that I want to request all of you is that please help us in being able to move forward, achieve the larger objectives of the association. And these larger objectives of the association, as I had said when we started today's session, you are probably a better voice than many of us office bearers are. You probably have a better stage presence than many of us office bearers trying to manage the affairs of the association. We would really look forward to your stepping up, coming forward and saying that, okay, boss, this next presentation to be made to the Ministry of Tourism on this particular subject, Geetika will say and stand up and say, I will make this presentation. So there are so many things where you can also come forward and contribute. And my request is that while all the other things that Roshan has suggested, that Brian has spoken about, that Sabas mentioned in his recorded note, yes, everything's taken a note of. We will take cognizance of that. We will make sure that हम अपने limited time frame में, limited resources में जितनी चीजें कर सकते हैं उतनी चीजें करें. लेकिन आपसे जरूर हम ये उम्मीद करेंगे कि आप यार 2 कदम आगे बढ़ाओ और ईमा को भी एहसास कराओ दैट ईमा आपकी है. बिकॉज अभी हमको अक्सर जो हवाएं सुनाई देती हैं, डिफरेंट कॉन्वर्सेशंस दैट वी हैव इंडिपेंडेंटली एंड कलेक्टिवली, वो सब ये सुनाई देता है कि सबको ईमा से शिकायत है. तो I don't want to talk specific numbers here, but let's also look at the contribution that we make to the association in terms of an annual fee. It is nothing. it is nothing. I think it is actually still free, even to say that okay, I'm a part of this association, उसके लिए भी ये पैसे बहुत कम, because examples हम सबके सामने हैं. Gitika, when decided to come back to the industry, I think it was EEMA and a few industry platforms only, which just made everybody realize and take notice of her once more. And there are so many other people who I have known as far as MCs and performing artists are concerned in various EEMA forums, and professionally, we've seen most of them progress. Some people were nobodies, and from nobodies they are here. So अगर काबिलियत होती है, जुनून होता है और करने की इच्छा सही है, so आदमी हासिल तो सब कुछ कर लेता है. और मेरे ख्याल से हम सभी लोग कुछ ना कुछ हासिल करके बैठे हैं, तभी यहाँ के मेंबर्स भी हैं और तभी यहाँ जाकर इस फोरम में बात भी कर पा रहे हैं. But as I said, once again, my request with folded hands, I think we need all of you. We need all of you to come forward and probably also share with Nani, Gitika, Shashi and Tarsem, who are leading this initiative as the committee, that where is it you think you can effectively contribute to the growth of the association. Thank you.
Thank you, Samit. This was very well said, and these words were very, very important for us. And taking this ahead, it's like 12:15, and once Sanjoy, right? No, why am I calling him Roshan again and again? Once Sanjoy joins, of course, I mean, we will hear his opinions. Until then, we've got a couple of Q&As come in. But before I go into the Q&As, I definitely want, because Gitika is representing here EEMA Artists Committee, as well as an artist that has seen what EEMA has done for her. And it's not what EEMA can do for you. It's your talent. It's your hard work. There is no compromise or substitute for that one, right? And that is how you get recognized. And it could be even the smartest student in a class of 50 will get picked up only because of that student's talent and hard work. It's not because you're partial or something like that. So Gitika, over to you to really get two words in. And then I would like Shashi to speak on behalf of EEMA Artists Committee, and then we go into the question answer.
Thank you, Nani. If I go beyond 4 minutes, stop me. Okay. So first of all, I would like to share with all my artist colleagues who are on this, who are part of this session and who will watch us later when we make a film out of this session and put it out there, is that I am a living, breathing, standing example of somebody who has only gained and gained and gained from being on EEMA stages. And it came to a point a few years ago where I think I sent soft feelers to all the presidents out there saying that I have gained enough. I don't wish to now come in and be on these stages. If I will value add as a soldier, as a service person, please call me in any time. But my gain is done, and please open these stages for everybody out there. This is something I'm making clear here because I know this is a point of angst out there which people don't put out. So I'm catching the bull by its horns and saying that they were putting me up there again and again and again. Why? Because I was easy to work with. I was a team player. I worked harder on these events than on the events that I was paid for. I was making it easy for them. It was not because they loved me or they had any partiality for me. It was because I was delivering. I want to ask all the artists out there who come and work on these EEMA events, out of the 10 or 15 that I have now observed, handled, facilitated, I can tell you on my left hand fingertips a few names who take these shows so seriously. It is a national platform. Are you coming and doing the job the way it needs to be done? If you do it 100 out of 100, you will benefit. If you do a half-baked job, that will be noticed, that will go against you, and it will be slower movement for you. So first of all, please हम अपना दामन देख लें कि अगर हमें एक नेशनल स्टेज दिया जा रहा है तो हमें उसको कितनी इज्जत देनी है, कितनी शिद्दत से डिलीवरी करनी है, और अगर हम वो नहीं कर रहे हैं तो प्लीज look into yourselves, come back up and do a better job next time. Sorry, I am not sounding very friendly here, but हमको अपने आप को भी देखना है. तो मैंने तो सिर्फ गेन और गेन ही किया है, और डे 1 से लेके आज तक it has never been about what I have got from EEMA. I know ये भी बहुत बिलीवेबल नहीं है, बहुत आइडियलिस्टिक से एक बात लगती है, बट ऐसा होता है दुनिया में, कई लोग आइडियलिस्टिक होते हैं. तो मैंने डे 1 से ये भी देखा है कि मुझे EEMA से मिल क्या रहा है. हाँ, देखा है. as somebody who was overweight, had a child, came back, zero networking, मुझे जरूरत थी इस मंच की, न सिर्फ ईमा की but event FAQs की, काफी सारे और भी मंच है जिसके मैं चढ़ी on gratis. But what I'm saying is कि सिर्फ गेन नहीं देखा है मैंने, डे 1 से मैंने ये भी देखा है कि मैं इस इंडस्ट्री का एक हिस्सा हूं, ये एक इंडस्ट्री बनने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. दिस इज द एपेक्स बॉडी ऑफ माय इंडस्ट्री. मैं कैसे इसकी मेंबर नहीं हो सकती हूँ? क्या मैं एजुकेटेड नहीं हूँ? क्या मेरा लॉन्ग साइटेड विजन नहीं है? क्या मैं शॉर्ट साइटेड हूँ? क्या मेरी सोच छोटी है? नहीं. क्या मैं अपने से ज्यादा किसी चीज को नहीं देख सकती हूँ? कैन आई नॉट लुक एट द लार्जर गुड, द लॉन्ग टर्म गोल? तो मैंने डे 1 से ये भी देखा है कि मेरी ड्यूटीज क्या हैं. आज भी मैं आपसे कह रही हूं, मैं आज भी अगर मुझे कॉल आएगा मैं खड़े होके करूंगी, क्योंकि वो मेरी ड्यूटी है एज अ मेंबर ऑफ ईमा. बट ये जज्बा जब तक हम सब में नहीं होगा तब तक नहीं होगा बॉस. नाउ आई वांट टू जस्ट टेक फ्रॉम व्हाट समित सेड, एंड right now I think we have, according to what Binu has given me, 311 members in EEMA. I want to share with all my artist colleagues out there, 62 members star, out of which 24 have paid fees. And how much is our fees? Some 10,000, 12,000 rupees. एक ऐसा अमाउंट है जो हम लोग शायद एक डिनर में खा के खत्म कर देते हैं. और हमें से कई लोग काफी अच्छा पैसा बनाते हैं. CII के कितने मेंबर्स हैं मैं आपको बताती हूँ. अप्रोक्सीमेट फिगर्स हैं 7,100 एंड 90,000 इनडायरेक्ट मेंबरशिप. ये सब एपेक्स बॉडीज हैं अपनी इंडस्ट्रीज की. फिक्की 2,50,000 सबसे पुरानी इंडस्ट्री बॉडी है हिंदुस्तान की. मैं आपको बताती हूँ मेकअप एसोसिएशन ऑफ इंडिया कितने मेंबर्स होंगे. आप होमवर्क करके पढ़ के देखिए कितने मेंबर्स हैं और उनकी मेंबरशिप फीस कितनी है. इलेक्ट्रिकल एसोसिएशन ऑफ इंडिया कितने मेंबर्स हैं जाके देखिए. हमारे कितने मेंबर्स हैं?
So a small correction, just a small correction here, Gitika. So this number that Binu has given to you, I think is कहीं थोड़ी सी गड़बड़ी है. The overall strength of EEMA membership is in excess of 600, but unfortunately, the paid, or I should say currently paid members, I think is just about 400 something. So there is obviously there are about 200 odd members who maybe for various reasons have decided either not to continue or have asked for a little more time to come forward and I'm just wanting to correct that. Yeah.
Ji, thank you so much for correcting that. So basically all I'm trying to say here, friends, is that और अभी तक महात्मा गांधी शायद रेलेवेंट है हम हिंदुस्तानियों के लिए. उन्होंने ये कहा था कि हम लोग अपनी राइट्स के बारे में बहुत बात करते हैं पर अपनी ड्यूटीज को बहुत कम देखते हैं. Forget the past, भूल जाओ. Okay, let's make a fresh start. Give us the numbers, because as an industry body, if we don't have the numbers, our dialogue with the government of India is going to be weak. It is going to continue to be weak. We need numbers. But सिर्फ इस बार, let's just come forward, give them the numbers, give them the financial muscle, give them the backing. एंड देखते हैं ना, हम आपसे 2 साल बाद हमसे बात करके देखिए, अगर आपकी एक एक एंग्स्ट हमने ना एड्रेस करके ट्रैक पे डाली तो फिर आगे से वी विल नॉट हैव अ सेशन कॉल्ड बाय ईमा. लेट्स मेक अ फ्रेश स्टार्ट एवरीबॉडी. डोंट आस्क व्हाट यू आर गेटिंग. फॉर वंस कम फॉरवर्ड, बी अ पार्ट ऑफ एन एपेक्स बॉडी, बी अ पार्ट ऑफ द बॉडी दैट रिप्रेजेंट्स द इंडस्ट्री दैट यू आर अर्निंग योर ब्रेड एंड बटर फ्रॉम. इट्स एज सिंपल एज दैट. फायदे होंगे ही होंगे. वी हैव टू बिल्ड अ माइट टुगेदर. बस मुझे इतना ही कहना था. 4 मिनट से ज्यादा तो नहीं होगा.
नहीं, you covered it beautifully and very well said, Gitika, because you've already brought in all the elements जो मेरे concluding remarks में थे. But still I want to no, it's very good, but I want to tell everybody that we have it not ended, because what you have done is you've triggered a whole ball rolling and it's absolutely the right thing. जब तक हम देंगे नहीं हम पाएंगे, और सारा टाइम हम लोग यही सोचते रहे कि मैं 4 साल 3 साल ईमा मेंबर थी या था और मुझे क्या मिला. Don't think about that. When it's an industry or an association, you don't ask such questions, and you gave the numbers. Look at the numbers and look at our numbers. I mean, हम लोग कैसे strong बनेंगे किसी के सामने? How do we stand together? So, Shashi, I'm going to take it to you for 2 minutes, literally, to at least speak on behalf of EEMA Artists Committee and the reason why we are here together.
Good afternoon, everybody. And first of all, thanks for making me a part of this. And ये सबसे, I think अपनी इंडस्ट्री को represent करना is a proud moment and proud feeling also. And be it singers, be it singers, all sort of basically सबको एक platform में आना वो सबसे बड़ा जरूरी काम है. And as Gitika said, we call EEMA as an industry. Industry comes with the numbers. Without numbers, we won't be heard at all. And for that, and before solving your problems, you need to be a part of that association. Understandably, you don't be a part of association, उनको आपकी issues पता नहीं चलेगी, problems पता नहीं चलेगी, और जब तक problems पता नहीं चलेगी, we can't solve it. And it's just like a family जहाँ वो कहावत है ना कि जहाँ चार बर्तन से आवाज आती ही आती है. तो अगर आवाज आएगी, एक प्लेट है जहाँ पे सब्जी है, रोटी है, दाल है, किसी में नमक ज्यादा होगा, किसी में मिर्ची कम होगी, कहीं कोलेस्ट्रॉल की प्रॉब्लम आई कुछ आएगी, तो बट एटलीस्ट वो टेस्ट करने पर पता चलेगा कि भाई इसमें क्या प्रॉब्लम है और कहाँ पे अपने को रेक्टिफाई करना है. So that is more important, and I think collectively everybody have to work on it, and to make this body more stronger and to be heard in the government basically.
थैंक यू शशि. और आपने बिल्कुल सही कहा, जहाँ पे आवाज आएगी तभी पता लगेगा कि यहाँ पे कुछ एक्शन भी हो रहा है, वरना तो सब डेड ही बैठे हुए हैं ना. So at least there's some action happening. Okay, so guys, till Sunjoy joins, should we just run through some of the questions because it's like filling up really fast. So I'm just going to go to the Gitika. Yeah.
Nani, for the benefit of all the artists on this session, I want to also the presidents here, and I'm sure we have secretariat, we have current leadership. There is an association called RA in Rajasthan Anchors Association. मेरे ख्याल से जहां तक मुझे याद है 200 प्लस एंकर्स हैं उसमें, 200 प्लस राजस्थान से. They have come together and आज एक they are a boys, let me tell you that. So the power of coming together is much more than the power of sitting solitary in your office and asking मेरे को क्या मिला. Let's take this forward.
Also, one more thing I would like to bring up, because when we are talking about artists, I'm noticing that we're becoming a little MC specific, but for us, artists means everyone, all musicians, all people in the industry of performing arts. It could also be a sports person, it could also be a stand-up act, it could be a motivational speaker, could be anybody. So the point is, why should an artist wonder whether they should be a part of EEMA or not? Suppose a question was asked last week when I shared this out, and they said, oh, so my management is a part of EEMA. Why do I need to be a part of EEMA? I just hope some of them have got their answers today. That you as an individual stands to benefit much more. Today you're with one management, tomorrow you may be with another management or not with the management at all. Who are you? What have you made for yourself? The only way you can do that is if you belong to a fraternity which can actually build you. So can I just quickly now get on to the questions, because I think I'm just so emotional about this subject where artists and musicians are concerned that I can kind of get into the flow. So Sumona Nandi says, how to deal with soft nepotism, which I face a lot. I'm not going to ask any one specific person to answer. You can just raise a hand and just answer whoever feels the answer is there. How to deal with soft nepotism, which I face a lot.
What does that mean, soft nepotism? Can you ask her?
Okay, so let's move it on, and then we'll ask her later on the Q&A.
If you can type in the chat.
Yeah, in the Q&A, just put it in, Gitika, in the Q&A section.
I'm waiting for the answer, yeah.
Okay, so Gaurav Sharma, why basic amenities are missing for the artists on the event venue more often than not? I don't think that's a question that we need to address here. That's a question that can be addressed with your specific event agency that's managing the show at that point of time. Over here, it's on a larger spectrum that we need to address issues. Shivani Sen says, why star members don't have voting rights in EEMA despite of many prominent artists proven themselves as wonderful leaders and event planners? Would any of the presidents like to take that?
I guess Samit would.
Or even starting from Brian, because star members was there at that time. Brian, would you like to address this?
Yeah, it's a very pertinent question. I do believe that every member should have and when I said at the top of discussion that every member should have skin in the game, to feel that sense of involvement, to feel that sense of belong, I meant maybe this. We need to give it serious thought, and if we can do something about the voting rights, I think it's one of the key areas that helps people feel that they are part of the system.
Belong.
Now, having said that, one must understand organizational hierarchy and systems and processes. Okay, there are various layers that determine who votes for what, and this is not EEMA. I'm talking about associations across the world and across various verticals. I did say at the top, it's a sense of belong. Now, if the artist wants to be voting for the top positions or standing for the top positions, he or she or they must have a role to play, must have the ability to deliver on promise or deliver on commitment. Okay, so I do believe principally one must look at the voting rights of star members, but the context in which or for which they vote needs to be examined carefully. It's way easier said than done from a hierarchical structural point of view, from an organizational structure point of view. But principally, one should look at it. Specifically, one should actually map effectiveness of the vote and in which areas does that vote count or should it count.
Perfect.
I won't get
think
into specifics. I'll leave to the current management, obviously.
Nani, in fact, Roshan and Samit, everyone, all the presidents here
Yeah.
should comment on this.
That I was just coming to that. Roshan, would you like to add something to that? Because
I think,
you took it forward.
See, initially there was this view, I'll be very honest, that this is the Event Managers Association. It was impressed upon most members that its scope is much larger as an industry. Ever since then, what we have not been able to rationalize, because if you see, our constitution was scheduled for a lot of changes in which there are active suggestions on how voting can be extended. This will need to be tabled in front of the entire platinum membership, because when the association was formed, platinum members were given a particular voting right, and that right, if it has to be distributed, needs to be agreed upon by them. This is how an association works. And that is the only reason. We have very clearly tabled the fact that there should be a vote. Now, the point is, somebody paying 1 lakh versus somebody paying 10,000, does one person is representing 50 people, 100 people at an agency. One person is representing their individual view. How do you align these? So you must understand that when the Constitution of India was made, it took a constituent assembly to do it. We are trying to put together a similar change. So after 14 years, there is an attempt again, and Samit and the team are working on this, that the Constitution amendment, it will be tabled. So whatever we say here is of no relevance till our members agree. Has it been tabled? Yes. Has it been suggested? Yes. What value should it have is the question, I think, that always stops us, because this whole thing of saying, you very often, Samit has said it beautifully, that, what are you willing to do, etc., because it's very important. Now, what happens is, will people have the foresight when they are voting to think beyond that? I'll give you a simple thing. Tomorrow, if 300 members join as star members who are all MCs, and that number becomes larger than the total number of event managers, I'm just saying it from a slightly elder viewpoint, they could vote anybody as their president without there being a viewpoint on the other end. Right? So you have to find the right way of balancing these things. There is no objection, but it needs to be tabled in first of the platinum, and this decision of weightage needs to be decided.
Right.
I want to add to what Roshan said.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as simple as why doesn't this section get to vote. In any organization, various decisions are made at various levels. Does it make a very junior person in an organization any less of a person? No. But does it empower him with the right to vote as to who would be the CEO of the company? No. So it's easier said than done. I completely concur with what Roshan has just said. One needs to understand. That's what I meant when I said you need to understand structure of an association. structure of an organization. I mean, he brought to the table a certain point of, or as you sow, so will you be allowed to ask or demand for rights, right? Whether
Fair
it
enough.
means financial contribution, whether it means operational contribution, whatever it means. So there is structure to every organization, and I want to doff my hat, whether it is to Samit or to Sanjoy before him, Roshan. I mean, these are people who, when we started it, we were just focusing on getting memberships, and these guys have actually focused on structure. And while the question is pertinent, I do believe that we've clearly articulated organization and association, what drives it, and how should it be operationally run effectively.
Samit,
Nani, before Samit
Sorry?
speaks on this question, for his benefit, I'd like to read out something that an artist has written on the chat front stage. But besides event managers, artists, service providers do not have the option to become a platinum member irrespective of their turnover or team size. Hanji Samit.
So I think some of these are misgivings, not rightly understood, especially the last comment that you just read. There is a certain protocol, there is a certain nomenclature, there are rules that have already been defined. And as much as I appreciate Shivani's concern and other people who may have spoken around the same subject or of the same subject, Brian and Roshan have helped answer 80%, 90% of the concern points there, the limitations in a manner which is just bang on. I hope that has been well understood. But to add to it, there are certain developments that have been made in the last 4 or 5 months, and actually the process started in Roshan's tenure, which was revising certain elements in the constitution draft that exists and prevails. May not be the best platform, but because we are all a part of one family, so I'm talking about it here. We are discontinuing with the star category of membership, because there is absolutely no need to have 5 or 6 different layers. Everybody who's a star member will automatically be upgraded to an associate member. There are certain provisions in the constitution that have already been incorporated, where voting rights are now being given to associate members at a regional level. तो जहां कुछ भी नहीं था, वहां अब कुछ होने वाला है. And for the benefit of my previous presidents, colleagues, guides, we took 2-3 months of extra time in the constitution matters, but it has now been ratified. It has come back to us with all legal opinions, and I think is going to be mailed out to everybody in the coming week for the final endorsement, with those 2 or 3 points that called for a vote, which, if you remember, we had discussed on the 18th of October constitution meeting that we had. So शिवानी, हम आपकी पूरी बातें तो नहीं रख पाए, बट यहाँ से शुरू हुए थे, यहाँ तक नहीं पहुंचे, बट बीच में कहीं आके फॉर अ फ्यू इयर्स आई थिंक वी विल सेटल. बट एज आई सेड, सोचने की बात ये भी है कि वोट देना क्यों जरूरी है, या वोट देने का अधिकार होना क्यों जरूरी है. आई थिंक दैट्स आल्सो फूड फॉर थॉट, बिकॉज जी आप कुछ कह रही गीतिका?
जी, what is the, I'm sorry, I'm sounding so dumb here, but voting age, रोशन, हमारे देश में voting age है हमारे constitution के हिसाब से 18 नहीं
18 है.
18 है, ठीक है. एक होती है physical age, एक होती है mental age. तो मैं ये सिर्फ artist के लिए नहीं कह रही हूँ, मैं ये event managers के लिए भी कह रही हूँ.
वो I think उस रास्ते अभी ना जाएं तो बेहतर है. और these are certain smaller conversations for smaller groups. I'm sorry, I'm butting in and saying
No,
it like
that's okay. I
In
know
fact,
what
there are many points here. Sorry.
the concern point, prima facie on voting and eligibility, two people cannot have the same privileges as long as their contribution to the ecosystem of the association is not the same. So somebody who's contributing X and somebody who's contributing Y, there cannot be parity. And this is something which हमारे the senior most person who understands the subject most beautifully well. Thank you so much for coming in, Sanjoy. And we were actually in the middle of a Q&A. But okay, so Shivani, and if there's anything else you want to talk about as far as the subject is concerned, you have my number.
And plus, we're going to be rolling out a website. Everybody knows that is EEMA Artists Committee at gmail.com. So you send us your questions. But you know what? As far as I can see, there's lots of Q&A. But welcome, Sanjay. And thank you so much for being with us today. And
Thank you, Nani, and hi everybody. But please go ahead with the Q&A, which is far more important than us doing bhashan. So please go ahead with the Q&A.
I agree with you. So then I'm just going to tell everybody that Roshan is Roshan again. I don't know why I've been saying Roshan for Sanjoy, but my apologies. So Sanjoy was the president of EEMA from 2018 to 2020. So Sanjoy, from where I'm speaking now from the artist community, all the artists are fully aware of how you've stood up for them, pandemic or no pandemic. What you have done for them is like, I mean, it's absolutely outstanding, and you're still at it. And during the pandemic, of course, what all you did was at another level altogether. And I'm talking about the artist community at large over here because that is our point of focus. But before I go into the Q&A, I do want you to come up with at least like a minute and a half of what artist community means to you and why are you doing what you're doing? What is your vision as
Well,
EEMA?
I think everybody on this call is pretty much an artist, whether it's Roshan or Gitika or Brian or Shashi, etc. So, the artist lies at the heart of everything that we do, especially in the events world. If you're not a designer, if you're not a planner, an executor, an artist on stage, what else can you be? This is about the arts. And we have to remind ourselves and again and again that we have to put that fundamentally at the center of everything that we try and do. And by creating opportunities and platforms for um, being able to sort of bring to the fore excellence, we will do ourselves a huge favor, and as well as continue to provide those opportunities for this incredible group of people. I mean, I think Brian is one of the oldest artists that we have amongst us. So, it's really a question to be sort of put to him. But yeah, I mean, without artists, I don't think we're anybody. And at heart, that's what we are. Sadly, nobody casts me anymore, but I'd be very happy to be an artist as well at some level.
That makes two of us, Sanjoy. If you think up a plan, include me as co-conspirator with you.
Let's not even get this started. I'm a nobody here. Look at the MCs over here, and I'm the one who's moderating the session. So, guys, I'm like putting my papers up from an event manager to an MC now. Please, I need a chance. So, now we get back into some of the questions that are coming up. Of course, there's a whole list of them, and please, just help us with answering some of them later. We'll reach out to you on WhatsApp or email so that they get the relevant answers from the relevant people they've asked for. So, Sarita Raghuvanshi has brought up a few points. So, what is it that we as an association can do to change the approach of clients towards an agency that also represents artists? I believe the lack of empathy, planning, and a lot of last minute chaos on the client front is what really boils down as issues. Again, I feel, Gitika, this should probably go for a smaller forum when we have the smaller ones, which is client specific and.
Yes, yes. In fact,
I
Hanji
mean,
San.
can I just step in? Of course, it's always the client's fault. We know that because they have no idea where they're coming from most of the time. But having said that, it is the responsibility of the event manager or the company that's taken on the job to be able to brief and educate the client. If we don't start it, we'll continue to be in chaos.
So then there's another one from Pinky Jha saying, why is there regional preferences always there in every forum? Being a member since 5 months, now still waiting to connect to bigger players in the market. Just writing a paragraph welcome note doesn't help us connect. Please guide. Anybody would like to quickly answer that?
Nani, could you state the question again, please?
Why is there regional preferences always? Why is there regional preference always there in every forum? Being a member since 5 months now, still waiting to connect to bigger players in the market. Just writing a para of a welcoming note doesn't help us connect. Please guide.
The lack of, you see, again, I said this earlier, that Spotlight has given some amount of exposure to regional MCs as well. You need to be able to enter. See, visibility comes from multiple ways. One is recognition. Recognition comes if you are visible to people in various forums like EEMA, one. B, if you're entering yourself in various awards. Unfortunately, I must tell you that the MC category is a very underrepresented category when people enter awards. Because when they enter it, they just want to put in a little bit of a clip or whatever. I would say that it is time to redefine what you do. Most of us, unfortunately, and this is where the bias comes. The bias is not about region. The bias is based on comfort. Once I'm comfortable with a Brian hosting a show or a Mandira or a Gitika or anybody else, I go back to that person out of my safety net because both my brand asks for it. Secondly, my own event person asks for it. That's what happens. Now, when do we give new people opportunities? When we start with saying, you know what, we're doing a 10-city show and now we need 10 hosts. That is where you need to be present and available. I can assure you that in my early days as an MC, even today, I'm doing 4 shows in the next 2 weeks. 2 are unpaid because of the opportunity they present and the forum that they are. They're speaking gigs more than anything else. But the other 2 are paid gigs. After 25 years, I'm still being able to take this call because one is a big summit where being seen and visible, and I've figured out something in terms of visibility. Ask for what you need. You will find multiple magazines and other people who will be keen to get a free MC. But do you ask for anything in return? Do you tell them, I want you to run 2 ads for me? Do you tell them, I want you to write to your entire database? All of these things can be done. Even an EEMA can reach out. So then there are multiple ways. The thing is, this problem of expecting it will happen. Ask. The worst that will happen is someone will say no. But
Exactly.
Sorry, right.
I want to go one deeper, Roshan, to just further augment your statement. I do believe that first we need to introspect as artists and figure out what makes us unique. It's not only about how often we are seen or who proposes us. It's about who we are as artists. If I want to be, I'm just saying, a musician performing at a gig, what is it that makes me special? And preferably even more special than B or C or D who are offering the same product. If I am a master of ceremonies, what makes me special or intrinsic to that? It has to be based on who I am, my knowledge, my speciality in my craft and in my field. Very often we don't spend enough time developing who we are. We're spending a lot more time figuring out, about how we can put our name out there, which is important. But who are you? I'm sorry, I'm getting down to the basics here because I've been on both sides. You're right, Sanjoy. I'm intrinsically and continue to be an artist. And I will be till kingdom come. But I'm always thinking about who am I? Being cognizant of whether it's the language I speak in or the languages I speak in, or whether it's my talent or in certain areas, the lack of my talent, and things like that. Will I suit this event, kind of event? Won't I suit this? Do introspection, what they call the SWOT analysis. Do it. And, work on your strengths, on building it, work on eliminating your weaknesses, blah, blah, blah. Right? So spend as much time introspecting and training yourself as you are putting yourself as a brand out there in the market. And that makes the difference, really. When you spend 50, I'm just saying 50%, but when you spend a fair amount of time developing and understanding and developing who you are, and then spend the remaining 50% or 40%, depending on putting your product out there, putting yourself out there, be it a company, be it you personally. I think sometimes we get the basic fundamentals wrong. I'm sorry if I'm being a little condescending, but please take time off to analyze yourself, your product, whether it's your agency, whether it's your talent.
Very important. And in fact, sorry, Gitika?
ननी जी, आप ये अगला क्वेश्चन, बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस अपवोट हो रहे हैं ननी, तो ऊपर की तरफ जो क्वेश्चन है एक संचाली अरोड़ा का बहुत पर्टिनेंट क्वेश्चन है. इट्स अबाउट समथिंग वी आर गोइंग टू डू. आप पढ़ेंगे तो मैं पढ़ दूं? ओके. So Sanchali from
Gitika, just 1 second before you read the question. I just want to add to what Roshan and Brian just said, and it's very important. So Roshan, Brian, whatever they said is not purely from an MC's perspective. So please, I repeat, It is from an artist perspective. So you have to evaluate the opportunity and you have to ask. If you don't ask, at best, please remember at the end of the corridor, there's a big NO. Let that NO come. Maybe between your ask and the NO, there just maybe some negotiations and some things might come through. So at least make that effort, but be eligible for that ask. Kitika, over to you.
Okay, so the question, this is a member from EEMA North, Sanchali Arora, MC. Taking from what Roshan suggested, you think a speed B2B introduction and interaction during Imagine or other regional platforms between artists and concerned stakeholders of the event agencies will help in new and existing artists finding a better footing?
Who
You
would
know,
like
one
to
of
take
if you look at platforms like they have in Europe, for example, Babel Music, etc., what they do is they have a stage for emerging artists, and maybe that's something that in Imagine Summit we could look at in the future, where we have a separate stage where emerging artists can come and do their stuff because this dating, speed dating ain't working because you don't get a sense of what that talent quotient is. You need to see them, you need to hear them, and remember, folks, that at the end of the day, if you all are performing or speaking, you can also invite this larger EMA fraternity to those events in those cities. So reach out to them and say, please, I'm doing this. Would you come and hear me, or send somebody from your office to come and listen to me, or whatever? That's one way of doing it, because the speed dating, it
Also,
doesn't.
if I may add to this, that's why I'm saying that a talent showcase, which is done in a unique manner, can be a great way of bringing members together in a regional kind of format. One. Secondly, please look at your showreels. Your showreels are composed of either you walking on stage, walking off stage, right? Then there is a little 1 second clip of you saying good evening, which doesn't give us anything. What is your talent? Are you able to do quizzes and therefore have you got a 15-second quiz clip? Are you able to engage an audience with humor and therefore have you got a 15-second of that? Are you able to do a little bit of motivation? Is that there? Do you have 6 letters of recommendation? In the early days, I used to ask my clients to give me a little paragraph. I said, just give me a paragraph on an email of, if you like me, would you? And they would do it. So, you have to learn how to market yourselves a lot better, which nobody does. You see, Brian was on radio, therefore, every morning he was a live marketing billboard. Everybody heard him so beautifully and said, I want this guy. I did the same on radio and television. But at some point in time today, I'm not on those mediums. But if I want to build myself as a thought leader, I put my thought out there enough for people to hire me in that. So you decide what your positioning is. I find very often your positioning gets completely confused. If you sing a song, that's fine. Everybody can sing a song. If I put a +1, any of these people could sing a song just now. Have 10 people after the show written saying, my God, I will recommend this person till death. That is of more value to an event manager than your show lead. So just market smartly.
And
also,
also, please, sorry, and also please dress appropriately. Every show reel that comes to us, I am stunned as to, on one hand, I've seen a question on this chat saying, how do we, present ourselves in an appropriate way? I don't think Gitika has ever dressed inappropriately for anything, or a Roshan or whatever. So why is it that you all think that you need to sort of flaunt a particular body shape to be able to get work? Please don't. That's the wrong kind of work you're going to be getting. Please don't do that. Dress professionally. If you're a professional, then be professional about it. And it's not about necessarily, it's about, as Roshan said, and as Brian said, it's about how you conduct yourself. What is your personality? How does it shine out? And what is your knowledge base? I've seen some very professional compares come out on stage, get it wrong, and then turn backstage and sort of say, oh, it was written for me like this. I mean, seriously? Is that what you are supposed to be doing as an anchor, or getting the accent or getting the pronunciation of a name wrong? Bad homework. And totally unprofessional.
I totally agree with you. And Roshan, taking your point forward, very, very important. And this is a very strong message I have from the event fraternity for all the artists that are listening to this. Please make proper show reels for yourselves. When we are talking about you to a client, when we are suggesting an artist or an anchor, we don't have decent links for you guys. We've got some phone shot videos that you send us on WhatsApp. You spam our WhatsApps with those. We don't want those. The client is not going to see those. They need to see your talent as an artist, as a singer, as a band, as an MC. They need to see what you're capable of. Exactly like you said, Roshan. They're walking to the stage, there's music playing behind, then there's one little line that's sung in between. Doesn't give me a feeler. I don't want to see the people dancing. I want to see how good a performer are you. Are you in tune or not? Yes, Brian. No, Brian.
I want to add one more thing here. And maybe people will agree or disagree. I firmly believe that it's relationship based. Work is relationship based as well. It's about the journey. Very many clients tell me, both from an organizational point of view or from an individual professional point of view, they say we enjoy working with you or we didn't enjoy working with you. And so we won't use you or we will use you. And so understand, like you're all rightly saying, it's the product that is important. But my goodness, it's the journey, it's the relationship, it's the experience that they have, whether it's the agency and you as talent, as a musician or whatever else. And it is about how you deliver on promise, right? So promising is one thing, delivering on promise is another thing. But very importantly, it's the interpersonal human relationship. I mean, to me, when a client says it's a privilege working with you or a pleasure working with you, it happened yesterday, and I'm sorry I'm sounding like I'm self-indulging, but I want to put the point across that it's interpersonal relationships between you as an artist and the people you work with that's going to add more than 50%, if not more, to your potential of getting more gigs and developing yourself. So it's way more than sometimes we acknowledge. Sorry, that's really important. I've had meetings with people in the past internationally, and this point is very, 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 very strongly driven forward. It's
I,
interpersonal relationships. They assume that you have the talent.
absolutely. Yeah, Gitika.
I want to add.
Nani,
Sorry.
Hanji, Samit.
Samit?
I want to add some things to whatever Sanjoy, Brian, Roshan, Gitika, everybody has said. You see, it's also important to understand who you are, where you belong, which is the space that you're actually operating in, or you have the competency level to operate in. Like event management companies, professionals, artists across all categories have also, over a period of time now, been able to create a niche for themselves. So if somebody has to do a political event, it is not that there are 200 MCs that are available in the country who have the necessary wherewithal to be able to walk up to a political stage and deliver what they have to deliver. There are a lot of events that require a lot of research. Not everybody in the industry has the competency and ability to be able to do that homework. A lot of people just say that, okay, like Sanjoy mentioned, that this is what the script had written. And recently it so happened with us in an event which was of national importance that we delivered at the Gateway of India, where there is the CM, there is the deputy CM, there is principal secretary, there are 5-7 other members sitting on the stage, and there is a certain order of protocol in which the seating arrangements were made. Now, that is the protocol in order, which was also scripted. I am a professional, a master of ceremony, standing there, seeing what is happening on stage, and somebody decided to switch. Now, if the Honorable Chief Minister says that, okay, no, you sit here instead of sitting there, I can see that happen. And I cannot make that correction while I'm doing whatever I'm doing on stage, just because the paper says X and that X was changed to Y. So there are various examples of this and many others, that we can quote. So where there is a certain basic presence of mind that is also required. The skill set that is required to be able to deliver a dealer's meet is very, very different from a skill set that is required to probably deliver a wedding event. So we must also understand that what is our inherent quality, what is the strength that we have. And I know for sure that today, if somebody asks me to go out and deliver a rural event, I will not be able to do it because that's not as an enterprise what I've been doing all my life. Now, that doesn't mean that I go out there and start complaining, and listen, nobody gives me an opportunity to do rural events. So these are things that we must understand. What is the strength that we have? Where is it that can actually and effectively be put to the table? The other thing which I want all my colleagues and friends to be a little mindful of is that every event, you see, the stature, nature, the region, the demographics, the kind of target audiences that an event deals with is different, and it requires a very very different skill set to be able to adapt to that. And as everybody has said, there is something which is also called comfort. If I know that, boss, my neck is at stake when I'm delivering this particular job, I obviously want to make sure that I work with the most dependable, the most trusted people, because I am not out there to risk anything. I don't want to be slayed by delivering something which is short of quality or not up to the mark. So a comfort level भी बहुत जरूरी है, and all of these things effectively help people determine. But इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि अच्छा टैलेंट हमने भी नहीं देखा. Kubra Seth, for the first time, I saw at an EEMA convention in Goa. Sonam Chabra, for the first time, we saw at an EEMA some get together that we were doing in the north. Frisha, I saw for the first time in Bombay in an EEMA West meet, and all of these people have worked with us. It's not that people don't get. If you're doing your work right, if you're delivering it right, and if you're making sure that you are being able to make the right impact, you will get noticed. बट टू हैव रॉन्ग एस्पिरेशंस, वो एक करेक्शन है जो हमको अपने आप में करना पड़ेगा. बाद में सोचूं नहीं यार 50 साल की उम्र हो गई, मुझे शाहरुख खान और अमिताभ बच्चन बनने का मन है. सॉरी बॉस, मेरे को ऐसे सपने ही नहीं देखने चाहिए, बिकॉज मेरे में ना वो काबिलियत है और ना मैं वो कर सकता.
That's excellent, and I have to say one thing, that from the time when the Q&A started to the kind of points that are coming in now, पहले was कि ये नहीं हो रहा है, वो नहीं हो रहा है, वो नहीं हो रहा है, ये कैसे होगा, वो कैसे होगा. There's a very nice one from Swati Sharma saying, what are the ways in which an artist member can contribute to the association voice, to the association, beyond being an attending member at conventions? So this, I think, well, I'm going to take that literally to say, I think, Swati, here onwards comes the change. I think you have spelt out the change, and that is what is going to make our association stronger.
I had a very brief conversation on this with Swati the other day when we had a small EEMA evening at the Leela Chanakyapuri. And Swati, very soon there is something which is coming out your way.
So I think it's been a very fruitful conversation. Our time is up, and there are lots and lots of comments which are relatively similar because it's all their pain points on payments and on techs and on event managers kind of not being able to spell it out. And Sanjoy, I want you to just once bring in from, like, we've been a little specific with the MC's perspective, but I also want you to bring this out from the artist perspective, the musicians out there. You know, there is one thing which I want you all to address is when an artist says that my management is a member of EEMA, they don't say why should I, they say do I.
You are muted.
We lost you, Nani.
We lost your last bit. Still can't hear you.
If an artist is a member of EEMA and says my management is a member of EEMA, why do I need to be a member?
I can answer that. If it depends, it purely depends on who your management agency is, and I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody, but many of our colleagues and friends in the industry who run enterprises representing talent and artists are not actually doing the job right. So wherever we realize and we feel as an artist that my agency is not doing my job right, I need to be present myself, is where such decisions should be taken. And there are a few companies who are actually doing the job very very well, and I have never seen any of their artists on their rosters actually coming forward individually to such forums and make themselves visible. So that's a simple answer.
So basically, it is beneficial if you want your own voice. I mean, it's an individual thing. EEMA represents you individually. So I think it's been amazing because
it is also critical for one to understand कि boss, मैं अपनी बात कर रहा हूँ. I am the artist. I am the person who's professionally going to go out there and deliver a certain responsibility. भाई पहले मैं उस level तक तो पहुंच जाऊं. You see, once I've reached a certain level where my name and my photograph is recognizable enough and worthy enough for people to just ask for me, and then okay, then there is an artist management company that you go to. वो level तक पहुंचना बहुत जरूरी है ना. आप उस level तक पहुंच जाओगे तो शायद आपको personally वहां उपस्थित होने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी.
और ये भी याद रखना सब, at the end of the day, as heads of businesses or as individual artists, it's finally about network. That's how you build your relationships. I know I saw a question about where it talked about only going for a particular kind of person or whatever, but you have to build a relationship. You're as good as your network, and that's roughly what Roshan and Geetika have done.
Yeah, Geetika.
Nani, if you can just assure all the artists who have put in their questions on the chat that we will in the next few days we'll take a note of all these questions, and then the current office bearers will answer them on mail.
There are 2 or 3 things which I've also read on the chat, and I know that those questions, unfortunately, because of paucity of time, have not been addressed. But as office bearers, as your representatives in the industry, we assure you that most of the observations and points that you've mentioned in today's conversation will be addressed. And Sanjoy, your recommendation, Roshan, your recommendation is well taken. We will try and incorporate something in the next Imagine, which is also going to be announced in the coming week, where something is going to be done around this. And there is already a series of the presenter dialogues that has been recommissioned. It's already started. 2 of those have already been staged in the South, and gradually it's going to be panned out at an all-India level. So please keep your eyes and ears open, and you will get opportunities, because वो सिर्फ आपके लिए opportunity नहीं है, वो हमारे लिए भी है. हमको भी कई बार बोला जाता है बहुत सारे forums में, यार गीतिका के अलावा और कोई option नहीं है क्या? So it is not that we are not on the lookout. We want good people to come forward as well. Sorry, G.
You're still not audible, Nani.
Nani, before we wrap the session, you wanted to release, Samit wanted to release the gives. Yeah.
But you're not audible.
You're not audible.
I think remove your headphone entirely. Just remove the headphone, take it out. No,
Pull
take
it
it out.
out.
Pull it out of the system. Sorry, I'm doing tech now.
No.
Yeah. No. Speak.
Now, Geetika, so am I audible? Oh
Yes.
my God, there's some jinx for sure. Okay, so since time is running out, and all I want to say is a big thank you to all the panelists for being with us today. And for all the artists who are here with us today, we are going to release a small poster which we would like Samit to read out the elements. Literally, honestly speaking, from an event manager's perspective, I would just say these are very basic deliverables and gives where we say, we'll put your logo on the backdrop, we'll put your logo on the venue, we'll give you a kiosk space. It's literally that. But please understand, this is only a start to a much larger community, to a much larger walk together, a journey together. Whatever has happened with us until now, I'm seeing messages which are very positive at this point of time. And can we just, and before we move on, I would just like to say, because we will leave the forum with that poster on so that everybody can keep reading it for later. And you have an email ID, which is EEMA Artists Committee @gmail.com, which is simple. Please write to us. You want to reach out to anybody? Yeah, I'm unfortunately not able to type that out, but we'll share it out. And anybody wants to reach out to us or to anybody in EEMA where artists are concerned, please remember that we are sitting here to do this for you. And hereafter, we have a whole series of events planned. Geetika, Shashi are aware of it. We're going to keep sharing those with you. Our next one probably is on emotional wellness and mental well-being, which we feel has been a great point of concern where artists are concerned especially. And so follow us, keep track of what's going on. And Shashi, Geetika, I would like you to step in to once personally thank everybody on the panel, and then we can open out the poster, which Samit, or would you like to open the poster first and then we do it? Okay, so let's do the poster first. So Saurav, can you just please share that last creative I shared with you, please? Samit, we'd like you to read that for us.
After a lot of deliberation and time that has been given into it by my friends who are working very effectively in the Artists Committee, these are a few things that we are immediately rolling out. Each EEMA artist member will get a self-brand post on all EEMA official WhatsApp groups and all EEMA social media handles gratis once a year. You must understand that this is a very, very special exception that we are going to be making, because this is not allowed as a privilege to any of the other EMA companies. And if you would have noticed that, in platinum groups and other places where somebody tries to promote a business for one's own self, it is immediately flagged and it is corrected. So this is an exception that is going to be allowed for all our star performers in terms of MCs and performing artists. One branded emailer shared to all EMA members, again gratis, once a year. Attendance to an annual physical meet and greet event with all EMA members, a purely business platform. This is where everybody has been speaking about networking and relationship building. So this will definitely help enable that. Not that things like this do not happen, but they'll probably happen more often and in a more structured manner. Access to several artist-oriented and EMA-led virtual live events throughout the year. Today being an example, and what Nani said is the next one to follow. Option to render a nominal fee and share posts on all EMA official WhatsApp groups and all EMA social media handles. So while one is coming to you free, but subsequently, if you want to approach the community further, then there is an option of being able to do so at a subsidized rate. If requested to perform and host EMA-led events, expenses towards makeup, hair, attire, tray, stay, travel, food, and beverage cost to be supported by EMA. This is something which was not done in many of the cases for many of these heads mentioned here, but EMA will step up and make sure that there is no money spent out of your own pocket. Special benefits from Make My Trip and special discounts from Marriott Bonvoy. These are things which have already been announced and are very soon going to be coming to you in the form of a kit.
So thank you, Saurav. We can remove this and we can share this later on all the social media handles. Can we have the whole panel back, please? So thank you so much for this, Amit. Very well read. And like I said, these are little carrots that we have put out saying that, okay, fine, logo here, logo there, face here, face there. But yes, all these mean a lot to us as EEMA Artists Committee. And a lot of the questions that are there are very separate and subject to event managers or stuff like that. So in our subsequent sessions, we will be having sessions especially with event managers and with artist managers. So let's bring these questions up there so that we can structure things better. And once Gitika rolls out the Harmony Bulleted, I think it will be very helpful for all of us. So from me, I'm saying thank you so much, but I would like Gitika and Shashi to do their bit as well.
I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but मुझे लगता है थोड़ी सी डांट ज्यादा पड़ गई है आर्टिस्ट को आज. तो हम ये कहना चाहेंगे आप सबसे, मैं भी आर्टिस्ट ही हूँ, I mean I am of course only an artist, कि we love you, I mean we love you and we love each other, and what you just saw in terms of the very initial gives that was released by the president is just an indication of what the feeling and the sentiment is. As I said, एक नई शुरुआत करते हैं. Give us your numbers. अभी जो 40 लोग जिन्होंने पेमेंट नहीं करी है, प्लीज कर दो और लेके आओ. Get your colleagues, get your friends, get your people you can influence. Let's all come together. और अगले 2 साल में I am telling you, जो कुछ भी हमारे पेन पॉइंट्स हैं, अगर 100 में से हम अगर 70 भी एड्रेस कर लें, तो we would have done our job. और उसके लिए हमें आपका साथ चाहिए. और जैसे कि सब प्रेसिडेंट्स ने कहा, नन्नी ने कहा, शशि ने भी कहा कि events can't happen without us, right? And we have to, the experience for us to, perform on events has to be the best ever. And this is a journey that we are going to take towards that only. और उसके लिए हमको आपका साथ चाहिए. Thanking all the presidents for making time. Really, thank you very, very much, all 4 of you. And Sabas, thank you for your message. Thank you, Nanni, for driving this day and night. Thank you, Shashi, for being here. Tarsen, we missed you, but thank you for all the great inputs you always give us.
So thank you, everybody, and thank you to all the artists for having been with us. And We cannot forget the web context team that's worked behind this whole thing and that put it together for us. Seriously, a big round of applause for you guys, for Nishi Raj, and also for Siddharth Ganeriwala and Vinod Janardhan for helping us put out the content, get the creators made, do the right pushes, put the right team together. So I'm sure I must be missing out on many names, but Saurav and Nishi, of course, was with us all through, and every single person who's been part of this event. So thank you so much, and we look forward to having even a bigger attendance at our next one. Thank you, and thank you, Brian, Roshan, Sanjoy, Samit, and Sabas, of course.
Thank you, Sanjoy. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Roshan, Gitika, Nani, Shashi, Tarsim, Sabas, and everybody else for standing up today and being a part of this forum. बस एक बात और कहनी है मुझे, बात करने से बात होती है, और अगर हम बात ही नहीं करेंगे तो फिर किसी बात का ना कोई भाव बनेगा और ना उसका समाधान निकलेगा. सो लेट्स कीप टॉकिंग. कुछ बातें हम आपकी सुनेंगे, हो सकता है कुछ बातें आप हमारी सुनो, but at the end of the day, I think as long as the vision and mission statement is commonly understood, we will meet our objective by the time we close our 2 years of tenure 2024. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Saurav, and thank you, Nishiraj. We can end the session now.